There he is, the Nigerian nightmare himself. Kamaru, how are you?
Ariel? I am amazing. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, although I just see your mouth, Kamaru. If you can pan up a little bit. No, I hear you just fine, but no, if you could pan the camera up. Can you move it up a little bit so I see? There we go. A little more, a little more. No, now a little more. Up. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Is that good for you?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, cool.
Is it better?
Yeah, much better. Pan down just a smidge, pan down. There we go. All right, I love it. Now it's perfectly centered. Okay, so let me ask you this right off the top. When are you fighting, Kamaru Usman? What date? Could you tell us? Because it seems like it changes every few days.
Man, as far as I know, January 14th, I will be fighting in St. Louis.
So what happened? Because I was told you were in Boston. Why did you go to St. Louis? What happened there?
Man, you know what? All I can say is some of the things that happened to me don't really happen to any other guy in the division, any of the top guy in that welterweight division. So that's all I can say. But
what are you referring to?
What?
What are you referring to?
As far as these changes, who else in the top of that division have you heard these much changes going, back and forth happening to? Not many guys, but it happens to me. So I basically just take it and run with it. But long story short, the fight was originally December 30th, as you know.
Yep.
And due to his visa issues, they scrapped the fight November, I think 5th or something, like November 10th or something like that, which is the approximate date which Emil DM'd me and said, hey, I was apologizing. Hey, I'm sorry, this and that. It's looking like I won't get my visa in time. Would you be interested in moving the fight to Canada 2 weeks before? And I'm over here, first of all, in the first place, I'm having issues even getting motivated for the fight because let's be honest, Ariel, what does this fight do for me athletics, career-wise? Absolutely nothing. This is just for money. It does nothing for me, absolutely, at all. And I've said several times in several interviews, I don't fight because I need money. That's not the issue. I fight because I want to prove that I am the best at this sport. And so I am educated. I can go and get a corporate job and make decent money and live a normal life. I might be the baddest dude in the corporate office, but I'd be living a normal life.
Right.
But I truly want to prove that I'm the best at this. And I know the way that I train. I take nobody lightly. I made that mistake my second professional fight, and I paid the price for it. Ever since that day, I will never do that again. I take no one lightly, and I know how hard I push myself through training. I know how rigorous it is on my body. And so why would I put my body through that if this fight is doing nothing for me? And so after he said that, can we move it 2 weeks earlier? I'm like, first of all, I don't even care about the fight. I don't really want this fight. Who the hell are you to tell me let's move the fight 2 weeks before? Like I understand if you might be the champion or you're the number one contender and you're trying to get me to make the fight happen. I understand that. But to me, honestly, you're a nobody. This fight does absolutely nothing for me. And then you're asking me, let's move the fight 2 weeks before. Are you scared or not to duck me or duck? I duck nobody. If I ever say I pass on a fight, it's because I believe that it's too easy. It's not a test for me. I said no to Marias the first time. They gave him to me. I said no to him, and look what happened. I said no to Warley Alves, and Joe Silver made me fight that fight. He told me, you have no choice. You will fight this fight, or I will extend your contract. I told him, all right, I'll go to Brazil, and I'll beat him up. I have the text message to prove it. And I went to Brazil, and I beat him up. And so I felt the same way about this guy. And so once the fight was scrammed, basically, like I told you, we were offered Colby Covington. We were offered Covington. He said no. Right away, he said no. I don't want anything to do with that guy. No. So they tried to make the fight again. 2 weeks later, I think something transpired. I don't know what it was, but they tried to make the fight again, and Colby said no, absolutely not. And then for the third time, they offered us. This was supposed to be my main event, January 14th. That was supposed to be my main event. Obviously, you see why it took so long to get a headliner for that card.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be me and Colby Covington to headline the card, but he turned it down.
Wow.
Colby only wants to go after the guys he feels that are old, that he could have an athletic advantage or maybe a cardio advantage over, to maybe try to pull them in deep waters. He knows that plays no part with me. You can't out wrestle me. You can't outstrike me. You don't have more power than me. Basically, he sees this. He's so afraid to where he was running to nobody but the other older guys that are on their way down. That's the only guys he wants. And so this was supposed to be our card. Unfortunately, we weren't on it, and I couldn't get anyone else because the fight was offered to a couple of other guys. Darren Till talked to Big M. Me and him had a little go on Twitter, but let's be honest. Dana White is protecting Darren Till. I asked for Darren Till. I said I would even fly overseas to fight him. I would fly to Liverpool or fly to England. We can main event there, or Orlando. We can main event in Orlando. And they said no. Dana's got plans for him, which, let's be honest, I have no problem with that. I understand what Dana's doing. He sees another person he could build over there in the UK. Bisping is almost out. That's another guy he could potentially build and could be a money-making guy for him. So I understand that. But at the end of the day, these guys are going to have to face me at some point. So, yeah, Darren Till, I believe he will fight if he had to. If it was his choice, he would fight. But let's be honest, Dana's protected him, so that's fine. But Colby Covington, they've offered me 3 separate occasions. He said no. And so they moved us to UFC 220. I said, fine, I'll take Emil Meek. And good for him. He started running his mouth, and he got his – I'm going to be honest, he does have a couple of fans. He does have a couple of fans because I get so much hate tweet from him. You're ducking him. You're scared of him, this and that, each and every day. And so those guys just basically fuel to the fire to where it kind of got to my spirit to where it's like, okay, I can get up for this now. This guy wants to talk. All right. I will go in there and I will spank him like I do to each and every one of my opponent. We can make this happen. And so basically he's talked himself into it to where I am up now. And I will take care of him January 14th. But after that, Colby Covington, you can run, but you can't hide. I'm on your tail.
Have you been told that if you get through Emil, they're going to do whatever they can to make that Covington fight happen?
They've been trying to do whatever they can to make the fight happen. I have, and Ariel, let's be honest. You know me. I am extremely honest with you. I've never lied to you, and I won't start now. They've tried to make that fight. I have the text messages from Dana, from Sean, that they've tried to make this fight. He's turning it down. But after I get through, which I'm not taking Emil lightly, I never do that. I don't make that mistake. I'm going to go in. I'm going to take care of Emil January 14th. And after him, you know what I say? I say me and Colby Covington, we coach the next Ultimate Fighter. Who wouldn't want to watch that?
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, we coach the next Ultimate Fighter, and then we scrap it out.
I saw you in Detroit. You were there. You were under the weather. By the way, you feeling better?
Yeah, I'm feeling better. You know,
okay.
Now it's just my daughter was just sick last week, and so I just got the sniffles a little bit, especially going hard and training like I normally do. So, but I'm healthy. I'm good, and I'm charged up, and I'm ready for this fight for sure.
I know part of the reason you were in Detroit was to support your friend, fellow African fighter Francis Ngannou. He has a massive fight on January 20th. Are you bummed? I mean, it seemed like a great opportunity, you know, to have 2 African-born fighters fighting on the same card. There's so much buzz surrounding both of you. Are you bummed that you're not on that card anymore because of that connection with Francis?
Absolutely. And I figured, which I said at the end of the day, I said, sure, if Emil Meek is the only guy willing to take the fight, that's fine. I'll take him. Let's do it at 220. Francis would be on that card. I will be on the card, and also Razak, my boy, my partner Razak, would be on the card. So basically, we were going to just basically cover, the prime areas of Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, and Cameroon. We were going to basically put the world on notice that Africa is is taking over at this moment. And so when they eventually moved it back to St. Louis, I was bummed out for sure. But originally, that was supposed to be my card in the first place.
Okay, so how do you feel, by the way, about the division? Because a major development happened on Saturday. Rafael dos Anjos skunking Robbie Lawler, winning all 5 rounds, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion. Do you feel now like he's going to be the number 1 guy, that he'll fight Woodley, and that maybe this frees up Covington? Did this maybe help your case?
It absolutely does. And I tweeted during the fight. After the fight, I tweeted at RDA. I just tweeted, that tweet was I'm not coming off focus here. Colby Covington is still the focus. I tweeted just to remind fans, after my last fight, RDA was free. He had fought Tariq Saffiedine, who was not even in the rankings, and Neil Magny, who was finished faster than the guy that I just finished. So I tweeted at RDA and let him know that you ducked me, because I called him out. He was free at the time. I called him out. The fight made sense. But he decided, no, I don't want that fight. I want Robbie Lawler. And he went out and he put on a great performance against Robbie Lawler. Hats off to him. Honestly, yeah, I think if Tyron needs a fight, that's the next guy in line to fight Tyron Woodley. Absolutely. So that frees up Mr. Covington. So, Colby, come get some work.
By the way, who do you think wins that fight, Woodley or RDA, if it happens?
I'm going to go with Tyron Woodley. I think Tyron is a legit welterweight. He's got power. He's got speed. He can wrestle. And you can't grapple with Tyron if you can't get him down. And, I just don't think RDA is equipped enough to get him down. I think the only area RDA might have a slight advantage is just maybe cardio, because RDA has proven that he can go the distance and really dominate, even going through a little bit of adversity. He's proven that he can do that, and so has Tyron. But I think that's the only area he has an advantage. But to be honest with you, I think Tyron Woodley knocks him out.
Really? Wow. Are you surprised that RDA is doing this well, though, at 170?
This last fight shocked me.
Okay.
It did. It shocked me because before that, no, he was very strategic. Let's be honest. He was very strategic in the fight selection. Very, very strategic. He came in and fought Tariq Saffiedine, who was like 1 for 6 in his last 6 fights. And Saffiedine is nothing but a kickboxer that if you put pressure on, he can't do anything. He can't fight going backwards. And this was one thing that was also very frustrating with me, is at that moment I was ranked 10th in the world. Saffiedine was 14th. RDA moves up, beats Saffiedine at 14th, and RDA gets ranked 8th above me. What sense does that make? Makes absolutely no sense. And then after that, he goes to Neil Magny, who I called out, who supposedly accepted the fight. Then the next thing I hear, he signed a bout agreement with Carlos Condit. So once again, it's like, wait, what's going on here? Why am I not getting these fights? And then Damian Maia, I called Damian Maia out while he was sitting cage side.
Yeah.
In Brazil, in his hometown of São Paulo. Didn't get the fight. Colby Covington gets the fight a year later and goes to a decision with him, which I promised I would stop to Damian Maia in the first round. I didn't get those fights. It is what it is. At the end of the day, I don't know what it is. Like I said, maybe UFC just didn't think I was ready for them to put money behind the market or whatever it is, but it speaks for itself. You look at my fights. I think Brian Stan was actually the one who gave me the stats to where I was beating my opponents. Probably I was outstriking them 120 to like maybe 10 each fight after 5 fights. And my fights speak for themselves. I don't lose a minute or second in any round. I've never been taken down. I dominate from start to finish. If I'm not going to submit you, if I'm not going to KO you, you're just going to be in for a 3-round ass whooping from start to finish. And Colby Covington is next on that list, but he's doing everything to avoid it. I think the last excuse I heard was his toe was hurt. That's why he couldn't headline with me January 14th. I believe he said his toe was hurting.
Do you think Colby Covington is racist, Kamaru?
That's a loaded question. Let's be honest. I don't think he's racist, but I'm gonna just lay it out for you. The fight,
Okay.
when I eventually get my hands on Colby Covington, the fight is more than just the fight itself. It symbolizes so many other things. It symbolizes the attitude towards immigrants in this country, not just in this country, toward around the world. It symbolizes, for me, it symbolizes all of that, because that's how a lot of Americans kind of feel like that for some odd reason, and towards immigrants, or the immigrants just for some reason, to some of their eyes, some of them, they're just never good enough. They don't do anything. They're not good enough. You can't really, feel as comfortable. And that's what Colby is doing. He's trying to play on that role, which I understand it's working for him. It's actually getting people to care about him, because before that, no one cared about him. Absolutely nothing. He would win fight after fight, but no one cared. But now that he's actually shown his true colors, people are starting to care about him. And so the fight is going to symbolize more than just me going in there and just stomping his ass. It's going to be different. It's going to be based on the attitudes towards immigrants in this country. And that is what he's really portraying. I'm not saying he's racist. To be honest, I don't believe he's racist. I think in a different world, we probably could have been cool. But no, and I told you, I actually ran into him one time. I ran into him at the airport. He was a gentle guy, just a sweet boy. He was a sweet boy, very sweet boy. He was a nice guy. Oh, man, when's your next fight? You got something coming up? And so when I reminded him on Twitter, he said I came up and I tried to suck up to him. But this fight is going to symbolize a lot more than that. It was supposed to be us January 14th, but he said his toe was hurting. So you know what? I think there's going to be an event in February that might need a headliner. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take care of Emil Meek, and then I'll be ready to go, even in February.
Wow.
Or if the UFC really want to make some money, they'll make us the coaches of the next Ultimate Fighter, and then we can prolong. I can give him much more time to train before I put the beating on him.
By the way, do you see those Photoshops that Emil has been making, like DuckTales and Duckman and all that stuff? Have you seen this stuff? You like this?
I saw one. One. It was was it the DuckTales, something like that. I saw that. It was funny. The thing with me is I understand. I understood from a very long time ago when I got into the sport with Rashad. I had probably one of the best mentors you could have in Rashad Evans. This is not personal for me. He's saying whatever he needs to say to get the fight because he knows he doesn't deserve the fight. Let's be honest. He doesn't deserve the fight. So he's going to say whatever he needs to say to try to stir up whatever he can stir up to get the fight. And as I mentioned, he's got a couple of fans which have retweeted it, have reposted it. For me, that basically just was fuel to the fire. Thank you for doing that. You have given me extra motivation to really put my body through the ringer as I know how to do. And now you're going to have to answer to me. You're going to have to step inside that octagon. They're going to lock that door, and you're going to have to defend yourself. And unfortunately, it's just going to be a 3-round beating from start to finish if I let you get to the 3rd round.
I feel like 2018 is lining up to be a very big one for you. It starts very early, January 14th in St. Louis, as you said, against Emil Meek. Now we know for sure that it's happening on that date. Hopefully it remains. Hopefully you get the fight, and then you can move on and achieve those goals. It does really feel like you're about to turn the corner here, and it's imperative to start getting those fights and get people to accept those fights. So good luck. Happy to hear. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely, you're right. I'm going to take care of Meek January 14th. Me and Colby Covington, we're going to coach the next Ultimate Fighter, and then I'm going to beat him up. And after I'm done beating him up, RDA would have challenged for the title and got knocked out, and I would be next in line to fight Tyron Woodley for that title.
I look forward to it, Kamaru. Thank you very much for the time. Best of luck in training. Good luck on the fight on January 14th. And, of course, happy holidays to you and your family. I'm sure you won't be eating a lot during this holiday season, but you could celebrate on the 15th, perhaps.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Ariel.
All right. There he is, Kamaru Usman. Big fight for him coming up in a little less than a month.